watching this completely unhinged press conference from RFK Jr. about autism, and some of the stuff he's saying is absolutely ridiculous. He literally just said that he expects the epidemic of autism to cost approximately $1 trillion in this country in 10 years. He's basically saying a quarter to a fifth of our entire healthcare expenditure in this country in the next decade is going to be spent on autism, which is absolutely bananas and absolutely makes zero sense whatsoever. These people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Their projections about the dollars and cents and epidemiology of all this absolutely makes zero sense whatsoever. And worst of all, they're talking about these children, these families in a very disrespectful way, talking about how these kids are broken, they're destroyed, talking about how these kids are not going to be able to grow up and pay taxes. It is disgusting and shameful how he's tackling this issue. We are living in bizarre, weirdo times, man. This just is crazy.
It's clear that the rates are real, that they are increasing. In the last 10 years, this epidemic denial has become a feature in the mainstream media. Obviously, there are people who don't want us to look at environmental exposures. So we know what the historic numbers are, and we know what the numbers are today. And it's time for everybody to stop attributing this to this ideology of epidemic denial. I said that the cost of treating autism in this country by 2035, so within 10 years, will be $1 trillion a year. This is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. Genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability. You need an environmental toxin in the literature. It just takes a little common sense. If autism, if the epidemic is an artifact, a better diagnostic criteria or better recognition, then why are we not seeing it in older people? Why is this only happening in young people? You know, I asked Walter before we came out here, I said, have you ever seen anybody our age? I'm 71 years old with full-blown autism, head banging, nonverbal, non-toilet trained, stimming, toe walking, these other stereotypical features. Where are these people walking around the mall? You can't find them. They're not in homes. There are no homes for them. There are no institutions for them. Why are we seeing them on the street? Anybody can look around and see that this is a canard. And then you have to ask yourself, why is it so pervasive?
The first person clinically diagnosed with autism is still alive. Donald Gray Triplett is 89 years old. As a child, Donald displayed unusual behavior, such as being introverted and having difficulty communicating with others. He showed a keen interest in number patterns, music notes, and letters of the alphabet. At the age of 3, he was diagnosed with autism by psychiatrist Leo Kanner. His diagnosis came at a time when little was known about autism, and it was often confused with other conditions like schizophrenia. He was institutionalized at the age of 3, but was later pulled out by his parents. Donald's parents were determined to get him the help he needed, and they worked closely with doctors and educators to develop a specialized program of education and therapy that would help him thrive. Despite the challenges he faced, Donald made tremendous progress over the years, and he went on to live a full and rewarding life. He graduated from high school and received a bachelor's degree in French from Millsaps College. Today, he still lives in the same home where he grew up, surrounded by a community that has come to know and love him over the years.
Ultrasound, because there's a timeline that, something happened. In fact, Congress said to EPA, ordered EPA to tell us what year the autism epidemic began. The EPA scientists came back and said it happened in 1989. Oh, you have to find a toxin that became ubiquitous around that time period. And that affected every demographic from Cubans in Key Biscayne to Inuit in Alaska. And that affects boys at a 4-to-1 ratio as girls. There's a limited universe of those, but actually it's quite large. And, Herbert Hertz-Pichota was the one who suggested that, one of the things we have to look at is ultrasound. I don't think that that's probably a factor, but it's one of the exposures that became ubiquitous during that period. And we're going to look at all of them agnostically. We're going to find the potential exposures that increased during that time period. And then we're going to we're going to see if there is a link to this injury.
34% of women with autism have depression, and 36% have anxiety. While these secondary mental health challenges are a big issue, the biggest problem masking causes for autistic people is late and misdiagnoses. If someone is really good at masking, they may never be diagnosed at all. For every 4 boys diagnosed with autism, only 1 girl is diagnosed. Studies that have followed children since birth show that the natural ratio of males to females with autism is closer to 3-to-1. The discrepancy between this diagnostic rate and the actual rate of autism between males and females is likely due to the way autism has been defined and studied and the tests used to diagnose it. The tests used to diagnose autism are still based on studies done on white autistic boys, which likely leads to lower and misdiagnosis in women. I would like to add that this is not only an issue for women, but also minorities. White children are 19% more likely than black children and 65% more likely than Hispanic children to receive an autism diagnosis. Males who outwardly display mild symptoms of autism are diagnosed on average 2 years earlier than women who display similar symptoms.
And these are kids who will never pay taxes, they'll never hold a job, they'll never play baseball, they'll never write a poem, they'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
Since I was not really meant to be here right now, like how successful it has been, because my first sentence was when I was 6. I was always challenged. The doctor said that I had signs of autism, ADHD, central auditory processing delay. They said it would be a real struggle even to do sports because of all the instructions and all that, and reading comprehension and math. But, God was on my side, and every day by day, things start to click. I started to understand things, and and then here I am right now. I still don't believe it, but I'm going to keep going where I'm at right now.
And lots of support from mom and family along the way. So you're a 4-sport athlete. You had the 4.8 GPA. How many college acceptance letters did you get?
Over 45. Yeah. It was a lot. What I was trying to look at was
children. This is what the secretary said today. He said, quote, autism destroys families. And he went on to say it destroys children. I know this is a hard question, but what was your reaction when you heard him say something like that?
Disgust and fear, frankly. I mean, I'm an autistic person. I run an organization staffed entirely by autistic people. None of us have been destroyed. Our families are not destroyed. And obviously there are folks with much higher support needs than I do, but I know a lot of parents of kids with autism who have significant support needs. I wouldn't hear any of them say that their children or their families had been destroyed. And this rhetoric is frankly eugenic, and it promotes the worst kind of stereotypes about our community, promotes the lie that the lives of autistic people aren't worth living.
These are kids that this is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. Genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability. You need an environmental toxin. Instead of listening to this canard of epidemic denial, all you have to do is start reading a little science, because the answer is very clear. And this is catastrophic for our country.
Why are we calling autism an epidemic? It's not a disease. It's a neurological condition. And the reason why autism rates have increased is because of increased awareness. Also, let's stop this stupid bullshit of vaccines cause autism, because that has been debunked for years. If you're afraid of needles, just say that. Just come right out and admit, oh, I'm afraid of needles and I'm projecting that onto my kids. And when RFK Jr. says he's going to have an explanation for autism by September, it just means that it's going to be some bullshit made-up reason created by his brainworm.
This morning, a commitment to find possible causes of autism within 6 months.
By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
Health Secretary RFK Jr. promising during the president's cabinet meeting that he will find out why autism rates are rising.
We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world.
In 2000, about 1 out of every 150 children was diagnosed with autism. Today, the CDC says it's 1 in every 36. RFK says the numbers are closer to 1 in 31.
That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this.
Experts say some of the increase is due to more awareness and a broader definition of autism spectrum disorder. It is possible that a yet unknown factor can also be contributing to the rise, but research thus far shows genetics and advanced maternal age can potentially increase the risk.
To come together and say that we're just going to get a bunch of scientists together and get an answer by September, that seems a little far-fetched. I will say a lot of good can happen when the scientific community comes together and collaborates with a unified goal.
RFK, long a vaccine skeptic, has raised questions about a possible link between the measles vaccine and autism, despite dozens of high-quality studies refuting the claim. And Kennedy has tapped a previously discredited vaccine skeptic, David Geyer, as a senior data analyst.
There is some worry that there could be some bias, or this research may not be responsibly looking for a correct cause.
RFK did not offer details on how the research will be conducted, but says the National Institutes of Health will oversee it and will look into everything.
I said that I was like neurodiverse before, and then I was like, why don't I just say what it actually is, which is, yeah, I'm autistic, and it's something that I'm really glad about just for myself. It sort of allows me to be a bit more free, and also, yes, hopefully inspiring to people to see that like you can be in like industries like this and openly say that you're autistic. Like why there shouldn't be sort of such a stigma around that and such a fear around that, and yeah, so I'm very sort of proud to be able to say it out loud, and also just to like bring more awareness to like autism comes in all different shapes and sizes. That's why it's like a spectrum, and I'm not someone that people would maybe typically see and go like, oh, you're autistic, and there's been people who are like haven't believed me when I've told them, and so I think it's just important that people see that like it really is a spectrum, and that people like me can also like be autistic, and that my experience is just as valid as other people's.
I recently was diagnosed as someone who has autism spectrum disorder. What it simply means is that your brain functions in a different way, so you're neurodivergent, and you also have certain tendencies that are considered outside of what the neurotypical way of things is, that can have you present in a manner that people misrepresent. People saying things like, you are difficult, you are mean, you are nasty, and you know that you're none of these things.
Right.
But they're attributing it to things that are not actually action-based. Like, I don't cheat people. I don't lie to people. I don't stab people in the back. I don't operate in mendacity. I am not duplicitous. I don't do none of this shit. But I have a certain tone about how I speak. And that makes people feel like, oh, I'm mean, because something about the tone that I speak doesn't make them feel a certain way. Actually, a part of being autistic that you are very, very, very sensitive to what people think about you, because you are always keenly aware that you are an alien. You are keenly aware that you are different. You are keenly aware that something is very odd about you, because I've always been labeled as this. You think you know everything. It's not that I think I know everything, but I really did know the answer. But they like,
I think you're a know-it-all.
You're a lot. You're a show-off. You're extra. I'm just trying to exist. I'm literally just existing in the world. It's always interesting when people call me the mean girl. I say I must have turned into a bad bitch because I was flat-chested and loud for a really long time. Like, I was always the bullied one. Because when I recount a story, I want you to notice this when I recount stories. I very rarely include my feelings. I speak in literals. That's part of the reason why people don't like me neither, because I'm literal and I take.
I was not surprised because I always felt different. I was just relieved, like, oh, this is why I am the way I am, and it just made my whole life, everything about my life, make so much sense. It was like a clarity, like putting some 3D glasses on.
Yeah. Autism in the black community is, first of all, it's not really talked about a whole lot.
Right.
And it's underdiagnosed considerably. Why do you think that is?
We don't have much knowledge of it, and I think some people are nervous to open up. People got lots of stuff going on individually, and it's hard to open up to things that people might not know about. And I don't think I'd have been in the NBA if I was diagnosed with autism. Because back then, like, what is autism? They'd probably put a limit or a cap on my abilities. I want to make sure my son knows that I have his back. Like when I was a kid, I felt different. But now I can show him that, I'm right here with you. We're going to ride this thing together, we're going to grow together, and we're going to accomplish a lot of things together.
I am autism. I'm visible in your children, but if I can help it, I am invisible to you until it's too late. I know where you live, and guess what? I live there too. I hover around all of you. I know no color barrier, no religion, no morality, no currency. I speak your language fluently, and with every voice I take away, I acquire yet another language. I work very quickly. I work faster than pediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined. And if you are happily married, I will make sure that your marriage fails. Your money will fall into my hands, and I will bankrupt you for my own self-gain. I don't sleep, so I make sure you don't either. I will make it virtually impossible for your family to easily attend a temple, a birthday party, a public park, without a struggle, without embarrassment, without pain. You have no cure for me. Your scientists don't have the resources, and I relish their desperation. Your neighbors are happier to pretend that I don't exist, of course, until it's their child. I am autism. I have no interest in right or wrong. I derive great pleasure out of your loneliness. I will fight to take away your hope. I will plot to rob you of your children and your dreams. I will make sure that every day you wake up, you will cry, wondering who will take care of my child after I die. And the truth is, I am still winning, and you are scared, and you should be. I am autism. You ignored me. That was a mistake.
And to autism I say,
I am a father,
a mother, a grandparent,
a brother,
a sister.
We will spend every waking hour trying to weaken you.
We don't need sleep because we will not rest until you do.
Family can be much stronger than autism ever anticipated, and we will not be intimidated by you, nor will the love and strength of my community.
I am a parent riding towards you, and you can push me off this horse time and time again, but I will get up, climb back on, and ride on with the message.
Autism, you forget who we are. You forget who you are dealing with. You forget the spirit of mothers and daughters and fathers and sons.
We are
the United Kingdom. We are the United States.
We are Argentina.
We are Russia.
We are the European Union.
We are the United Nations.
We are coming together in all climates.
We call on all faiths. We search with technology
and voodoo,
prayer and
herbs, genetic studies,
and a growing awareness you never anticipated.
We have had challenges, but we are the best when overcoming them.
We speak the only language that matters, love for our children.
Our capacity to love is greater than your capacity to overwhelm.
Autism is naive.
You are alone. We are a community of warriors.
We have a voice. You think because some of our children cannot speak, we cannot hear them? That is autism's weakness.
You think that because my child lives behind a wall, I am afraid to knock it down with my bare hands?
You have not properly been introduced to this community of parents and grandparents, of siblings and friends, and school teachers, therapists, pediatricians, and scientists.
Autism, if you are not scared, you should be.
When you came for my child, you forgot.
You came for me.
Autism, are you listening?